You type out a text to cancel a plan that is draining you. For 4 minutes, you stare at the screen. Then you delete the message and go anyway. The immediate dread of their reaction feels worse than giving up your evening. That single hesitation hands someone else veto power over your own choices. You accept a terrible favor. A room you desperately want to leave keeps you sitting in your chair. You swallow the complaint, and a smile takes its place. Every single day. Right now, before anyone has said anything, you're preparing your opening statement to justify why you have to stay. You build a defense for a choice you never wanted to make. You know this is ridiculous. By the end of this video, you'll know the exact reason you do this. You'll learn the specific moves that break the pattern across every area of your life. There are 6 traps behind this, and one loop underneath all of them that nobody names.
The comfort of known pain. I used to sit in my car in the driveway for 20 minutes after work, dreading going inside. The engine was off, the keys sat in my lap, and the quiet front seat felt like the only thing I could control. Then I would finally walk through the door and immediately start apologizing for nothing. That dread is exactly where you live right now. Walking away is the obvious fix, and you try doing exactly that. The boundary breaks anyway. It never holds. The moment the tension spikes, you fold. You adjust your posture to make someone else comfortable, and that tiny shift is how the trap stays locked. This reaction happens completely without thinking. Nobody actively chooses to live this way. The ache of staying feels safer than the chaos of leaving. This pattern has an exact name. Knowing the label doesn't stop the cycle. You negotiate against yourself before the other side even asks. You trade weeks of your own peace to avoid 30 seconds of awkward eye contact. That daily surrender slowly erases you from your own life. Tomorrow, the exit gets even further away. The heaviest price hasn't even landed yet. When silence feels like safety. That heavy price starts quietly at a dinner table. A friend complains about the exact same problem for the 4th time. You nod along and keep your shoulders relaxed. The food turns cold on your plate while you absorb a crisis that isn't yours to fix. You call this loyalty. It is just the toll you pay to avoid a confrontation. Every time you swallow your own exhaustion to keep the peace, you lose a little more ground the next day. You absorb their stress because cutting them off means risking a negative reaction. You'd rather suffer quietly than watch their expression drop. That cup of coffee sits cold on the table, but you drink it anyway. You sit there forcing down the bitter liquid just because standing up to pour a fresh one feels like too much effort. Take back the space. Look right at the person who hasn't asked about your life in 6 months. Interrupt the monologue with one direct question. Do you want advice or just a vent? The moment you say the words, the verbal flood stops. From there, tell them you need to use the restroom and physically walk away for 2 minutes. Starting tonight, decide your departure time before you even pull into the restaurant parking lot. You survive the dinner. But what happens when the person demanding your energy isn't sitting across a restaurant table, but signing your paycheck? The hidden cost of competence. You already tried delegating the work. It didn't hold. Watching them struggle with the handed-off project was too much, so you grabbed it right back. 3 extra tasks belonging to your coworker now sit on your coworker's desk. Explaining the quarterly slide deck feels like it takes longer than doing it yourself. That logic is a cover story. Endurance becomes your entire identity. Doing 3 people's jobs feels safer than admitting you have a limit. Exhaustion serves as the way you prove your value. Every step across the building with that heavy stack of office paper makes your arms shake. Sweat soaks through your shirt. A completely empty rolling cart sits inches away, and you ignore it entirely. The heavy lifting wins because the struggle makes the effort feel real. Drop your hands from the keyboard and sit back in your chair for 10 seconds before replying to the request. Forward the email back with a 1-line note saying you don't have the capacity today. The artificial panic fades. Watching the flashing cursor, you finally realize nothing catches fire when you say no. That heavy weight dictates your choices at work. The office isn't the only place this runs. The exact same reflex is currently sitting on your kitchen counter. Why you ignore the mess. 3 moments this pattern fires. The cheap version brings a quick spike of guilt as you walk past the kitchen island. A second hit takes your focus while you try to cook around a scattered stack of envelopes. The last drop lowers your standard of living. One piece of mail you ignored becomes the visual anchor of your kitchen for the next year. Your vision adapts to the chaos, so you stop seeing the mess. You don't leave the pile because you lack time. Touching a single jury summons from October means admitting how far behind you are. It becomes invisible. That's leaving a dead light bulb in the hallway fixture for 6 months only because your eyes adjusted to the shadows. Pick up 3 pieces of paper right now and throw them in the recycling bin. Action breaks the illusion. Move the entire pile into a box and put it out of sight until Saturday morning. The kitchen stops looking like a storage room the second the counter is clear. The mess on the counter is only an eyesore. What you lose next cannot be packed into a box. Faking your own forward motion? You could repeat the 15-minute stretch you always do, or you could try a new heavy lift. Same morning. One choice builds momentum. The other is faking your own forward motion. You drive to the gym and leave without breaking a sweat. Grinding through a hard set requires you to risk failing the rep. Running the familiar loop guarantees you finish it perfectly. The comfortable workout protects you from finding out where your limits are. It's automatic. You pick the safe option to ensure you never struggle. Every time you go through the motions without pushing, you pay a momentum tax. Picture running on a treadmill that's completely unplugged because your feet know the rhythm. The belt never moves. The screen is dark. You pretend you traveled a mile anyway because the movement tricks you into believing you worked hard. You've been moving without progressing. Showing up checks a box, so you dodge the guilt of staying home. The only swap that matters, name the specific result you're avoiding and type it into your phone notes. Change one movement in your routine so your body has to pay attention. Faking momentum protects your body from failure. A wasted workout is a cheap penalty. You avoid the friction now, and the resulting weakness dismantles the safety net you worked so hard to build. Defending a terrible investment. A mistake costs you money once. Refusing to acknowledge that mistake costs you a monthly subscription. You rent the right to look the other way. You keep paying for a software tool your business hasn't opened in over a year. Canceling the charge proves the original choice was wrong. Keeping the account open ensures the failure isn't real yet. That's the snare. You hand over cash every month for a complex editing app you cannot even open. This strictly delays the regret. Cutting it off completely is the only way out. You don't need a full budget review, no complicated spreadsheet. Only speaking the truth matters here. Say it out loud. You spent the money and it is gone. Log into the account right now and click the cancel button before you justify it again. The recurring charge stops running in the background the moment the confirmation screen appears. You sever the tie. The person you turn into when you hide this mistake is someone who pays a premium to avoid reality. Every dollar spent proves you do not trust your own judgment. A dead subscription is a cheap penalty. The real cost is the future you refuse to launch. Hiding inside the draft folder. You sabotage that exact future when you build the site layout. The copy is written and the images are loaded. Everything is ready for a public launch. Then you spend an entire beautiful weekend locked inside tweaking the hex codes on a contact button. Hours vanish into finding a slightly darker shade of blue just to dodge a live audience. You have tied your entire self-worth to this layout. A forced launch leaves you completely exposed. Perfection acts as a cover so nobody can ever judge the work. You polish a pair of boots every morning. You shine the leather until it reflects the sun, but you never actually wear them outside. The polishing gives you an excuse to delay. The preparation turns into the whole point. Send the draft link to one peer right now. Tell them you are launching the site in 2 minutes. Start the clock on your desk. The forced wait breaks the panic. Hit the publish button the second the timer reaches 0. The folder disappears from your desktop forever. Publishing requires you to finally face the audience. The delay clearly hurts your progress, but the reflex forcing you to wait has a name you haven't heard yet. That's all 6. Now you have the exact term for the reflex that keeps you staring at that text for 4 minutes. You have the moves to beat it. Psychologists call this the familiarity heuristic. Your mind picks a known ache over an unknown outcome because predictability is easier.
The familiarity heuristic repeats every day you refuse to force a hard stop. You've stood outside the door so long, you forgot you hold the key. No one will hand you the person you've been waiting to become. Every time you choose the predictable hurt over the unknown, you delay the life you truly want. Staring at a text for 4 minutes is only one of the ways you do this. Subscribe.